Dear student, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 14th December 2016. The first article is by G. Sampath. It is about demonetization, that is, why cashless may be the new normal. This article talks about the benefits the capitalistic class will receive from the demonetization and the cashless economy. So let us see this way. After the demonetization, if we think the cashless transactions, if they increase, the indirect tax revenue of the government is going to increase. It is because every transaction of buying and selling is being reported to the government. And second is the workers' money and the money in the informal sector, it is going to enter into the banking sector. From there, it is going to move towards the capitalistic economy. It means that the money of the workers is entering into the capitalism, and capitalists are going to become much richer with this money. So that is what he tries to convey. But let us see the other dimension of this article. So indirect taxes and direct tax revenues of the government are also going to increase. Then it provides an opportunity for the government to decrease the tax rates. And the second thing is, as the revenue of the government increases, the government can use this for the betterment of the marginalized sections. And the money reaching to the banking sector, it will help the banks to come out of the distress, and they can provide for the capital for the new entrepreneurs, and this will increase or boost the economic activity in the society. This further will lead to growth of the economy, and if the right policy intervention is being brought by the government, there will be a redistribution of the wealth from the rich to the poor. So this is the other side of the argument which we can make. And through a storm safely. It is about the recent storm in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, that is Varda. Now, on east coast, the storms have become a regular feature. It is due to geographical factors and also the ongoing climate change. The last December we have seen huge urban flooding in Chennai and then also in Hyderabad. So here, what we shall learn from this? One is the disaster management has to be strengthened, and we need to build the resilient communities. And the third thing is, whatever the learnings we make from each disaster, these need to be documented and a national database has to be made. So, with regard to the disaster management, every state has to develop its own response teams, because and also the local governments and their strength and capabilities need to be improved, because these are the first lines of defense whenever a natural disaster comes. And the second is the resilience of the organizations or resilient communities. What does that mean? This term was given by 2014 Global Hunger Index report. What they said is the long-term sustainable communities are the resilient communities, the communities that can adapt themselves to the disasters and the change which is coming up. Here, the social media, it has been effectively used by these communities, and also they are able to face this challenge and are able to stand up to the thing. If you take the United States, most of the coastal cities in United States are metropolis. How they are facing these storms, cyclones, which are a frequent thing over there. So that's where comes the concept of the resilient cities, where the disaster resistant buildings and also vibrant communities, they help to face these challenges. And then if you see in the management of Hudud in Vizag and also Varda, the communities played a central role and they have innovatively used the social media. But however, in India, there is no documentation of these innovative practices. If we can do that, there will be much learning for the future from the same. So that is about this article. And free flow of wheat. So you know what is minimum support price. So here, this is a price guaranteed by the government at the time of sowing to the farmers. And now, this year, the yield of arals, the wheat crop is going to come less. The production is going to be less because we are going to have the warm winter in north. And at the same time, the global yield is very huge. and the global prices of wheat are very less. So the government wanted to use this situation to curtail the inflation by reducing the import duty on the wheat. It is made zero. It means the government is going to encourage the import of the wheat. So the farmers associations argue that this is going to hurt the farmers badly because most of the crop of the farmers is sold in the open market to the traders. Now the traders will be more willing to import the cheap wheat rather than buying it from the farmers. So here we have to see the ad hocism in Indian policy and also concerns of the inflation. On one way, inflation is coming down, but the prices of wheat are going up. And second, there is 4 more months for the wheat crop to be realized, and we have that enough time to react to the distress of the farmers. On the third side, in the last 500 days, 1.5 year, wheat or import duties on the wheat gone up, gone less, and again gone up and coming down now. So it means that there is some ad hocism with regard to agricultural food policy in India. So there is no predictability on the exporters of the wheat to us and also the export of grains from our Indian market to the other countries. In this context, the global market is going to become much uncertain for India, and the countries which are exporting the wheat, they may not be willing to export to India because of the unpredictability in the policy. Now let's come to the next page. What is Trump's America to India mean? So in this, the first concern for me is surrounding the Trump, everywhere the military rulers are existing. So the National Security Advisor, Defense Secretary, everyone are from the army background. And the second thing is the business background. Mr. Tillerman, who is being appointed as the Secretary of the State, he is also from the business background. So the first issue here comes up is the conflict of interest. It means the business or the personal business of these people and the public organization handling the public affairs, they are bound to come in conflict. That is the first thing. And coming to India and the US relations, the H1B visas, this is going to be an issue of concern for India, especially the IT sector. And the third thing is the China and US, they are going through the rough feathers now. If you see, Mr. Trump is straight objecting to the one China policy. It means he wanted to use Taiwan as a trading tool or bargaining chip with the China. China already has clearly stated that one China policy is not for negotiation. As the China and US fissures gets deepened, obviously China will not be supporting US push for India's entry into the NSG. That is one can be a cause of concern to India. Other than that, there is no much relevance. The decisiveness of 1971. So let us talk about this. This is about Indira Gandhi's war, especially Bangladesh Liberation War. So now, after the elections in the Bangladesh, the eastern Pakistan, then called as the Majbur Rahman, got the majority in the National Assembly. The Bhuttos, that is Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he was not ready to accept the leadership of the East Pakistanis, that is Bengalis. And finally, Muzbur was arrested, and it has led to a popular uprising in the East Pakistan then. And Pakistan army has conducted atrocities against them. It created the refugee crisis. Then India has to handle this refugee crisis. It gave the space for the diplomacy, where India and USSR made an agreement of peace and friendship. In case if there is an attack on any other country, then both of them shall come in cooperation with each other. So, when actually the war has come up, India has trained the freedom fighters of Bengal, that is Mukti Bahini. And in support of the Pakistan, the US President Mr. Nixon has ordered for its naval fleet to enter into the Indian Ocean. But however, Indira Gandhi did not budge. And the second thing is, Pakistan was expecting the China to intervene. But however, as the attack was carried out in the winter, as the Himalayas are capped with the snow, the China had little chances to intervene. And although China do not want to take a diplomatic back or diplomatic attack that may come from India after intervention. So it wanted to keep itself away. And finally, India was able to make a decisive victory, and it was the finest moment for India. That's what he talks about. The most important article on this page is bilateral investment treaties. What these are? Two countries, if they sign the bilateral investment treaties, the investments that flow from these countries have to be respected by the other countries and the interests have to be protected. Let's take A, B makes a bilateral investment treaty. The investment coming from A to B has to be protected by B. Similarly, the investment flowing from B to A has to be protected by A. So, in this scenario, India has made bilateral investment treaties to promote the investment flows into the country. But in recent period or recently, India is backing off from these treaties. What is the reason? There is a state investor disputes that have become prominent. In India Devas multimedia dispute, India has lost the case and India was facing a position to pay back the dues to the Devas multimedia. The same is the case with the Kane Energy, and the Vodafone deal is under question. So India wants to get out from this state investor disputes is the first thing. And the second thing is India wants to amend its bilateral investment treaties with the countries. Because of this, the investor climate is decreasing and investor confidence on Indian economy is decreasing. And second, Indian money is also flowing out. Indian capital is also flowing out. It means the foreign countries are not going to provide the protection to the Indian money. So it is going to hurt the Indian investments abroad. Now, India has brought in a model BIT. What it states is this: India, or else any investor who has invested in India, has to first challenge any grievance in the Indian courts. Once the remedies are over in India, then he can go to the international arbitration. So if you take the tardy judicial system in India, so there is no confidence we can instill in the investors, and it is going to worst affect the flow of foreign direct investments into India. Now coming to the finance the digital discounts, and already India has given the incentives for digital transactions and it is going to flow from India. And Venezuela warns about cybercrime. So Venezuela also has wanted to move towards the cashless economy, but due to the cyber threats, it has moved towards the cash economy again. And Venezuela is the country which has demonetized the Bolivar's currency recently because of higher inflation, and second, the existence of drug mafia over there to fight back this drug mafia. And then demonetization dispassionately demystified. Now, I can use the information in this with regard to my essay. He talks about two important things that have happened in the global history. That is, one is Lyndon Johnson's the Civil Rights Act, and then Nelson Mandela. It is about Rainbow Revolution. So he passed Reconciliation Act for this Rainbow Revolution. So Lyndon Johnson's Act, it is about providing the rights to the African Americans, that is the colored people in the United States. The Nelson Mandela, when he became the president of South Africa, it was deeply a divided society. That is Africans, native Africans and whites who got settled over there, there is a deep conflict. So the Rainbow Revolution is all about making the country an place for everyone to live and forgiving the whites for their mistakes. That is what is the Nelson Mandela did. So these are the two remarkable steps, and author is trying to compare the demonetization drive to these remarkable steps. But however, this is altogether a different ball game compared to the demonetization. He compares the boldness of the decision to these two. But however, these are uncomparable according to me. And then in the world news, so Kavala labor system was ended by Qatar. What is this Kavala labor system? Now, a worker from India goes to the Qatar. He has to work under the master who offered the visa to him. If he has to change the job, the master's permission is necessary. He can only come back to India once the exit visa is been offered by that particular master, or he has recommended for, or if he gives the holidays, then only he can come back to India. That's why this Kafala system is criticized as modern slavery, and Qatar is ending that. And it is expected that Saudi will also end it very soon. And then I have given some questions. What demonetization can achieve for economy? And now I am preparing these questions from the interview perspective for the students who have finished the mains. You can think on the answers for these questions and frame your thought process and opinions on them. And for the freshers also to understand the articles, these questions will help. Thank you very much. And you can download this from www.laex.in/civils prep. This is the website where it will be posted for. Thank you very much. All the best.